American politics today cannot be understood without recognizing racism's evolution and the power of the pernicious demagoguery.
Baby, that's a big word. Go ahead and define. Go ahead and define demagoguery.
So, American demagoguery implies manipulative political rhetoric or leadership style that appeals to emotions, prejudices, and fears rather than rational, evidence-based thinking. And so we have to take a moment to just unpack this because we live in America, and I would say no one would describe our political system as manipulative, political, and maybe some of us would describe it as political, manipulative. I'm also thinking about my upbringing because I don't know that I had an awareness about the ways in which racial politics plays out. I don't think I had an awareness about how I was perceived as a Black male growing up because I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I've told you this. And I grew up in a very religious household. So my life, my actions every day, knocking on doors, wanting to talk to people about the Bible and, share scripture, that was my life. And so I didn't have a concept of race being a thing that was impacting me or my family or my community. Mm. And I'm thinking about the quote that we just looked at, how we are impelled to think in racist ways. Part of that for me, I think, was the way I was socialized, how I learned to be social in that religious setting where race was not a part of that conversation. Mm-hmm. And to my maybe not detriment, but, because I didn't have the opportunity to learn about that early on, I think that's why I'm so invigorated now.
How do we think racism has evolved?
Yeah.
And I think some people have a misconception that this evolution describes a progress that has been made.
Yes.
When actually what I think Lopez is describing here is moving from overt racism, mm-hmm. like lynchings, mm-hmm. Explicit racial slurs, to more covert racism, more strategic, right? More intentional.
And he talks about that in his book.
Boom. And then still sanitizing themselves from any culpability for the violence, right?
Yeah.
And I think
like throwing a rock and hiding your hand.
Exactly. Which is why I'm yes, Lopez, read them. Open the library, read them.
American politics is pernicious. It is inherently destructive. It's self-imploding. And if we don't start to understand, the way dog whistle politics work within our country and how we perpetuate or state those dog whistles in our language, then we become a part of, this cog of a system that we don't see because we lack awareness, or maybe we don't lack awareness. We're fully aware, which he gets at strategic racism. Boom. We're fully aware of the ways in which, race operates, as a form of oppression, particularly against Black and brown people, and we do it because it benefits
and
someone.
I think how does this now relate to the work that we do in education? It directly relates because education is such a political space that if we are not, to your point, aware of the ways in which our words can be weaponized, then we project those same ideologies onto our students. We then invoke it in policy that is in our schools. And you said something today, about how, I don't know that some people would identify American politics in this way. And it's actually, we're in a current political climate where people actually might.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The way in which rhetoric about immigrants right now, the ways in which we frame national security as what we are trying to protect to then criminalize non-white bodies, right? And what that means. And so I think when we think about that, it is directly relevant to the work that we do with our students because when we talk about equipping our educators with the awareness to know if you look like our kids, you should be equipping our kids with the skill set to navigate the world and political context that we're in. If you don't look like your kids, you need to be aware so that you can also equip them, but also unlearn and not perpetuate the same things in which we are seeing. And if you are aware, please don't work with our kids. I'm just going to be honest. If you are aware and doing it, please just don't.